Leechess. 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 Leechess.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Let me get the audio levels right here. It's probably a little bit too loud. Testing, 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 testing. I already see some questions in. This is fantastic. If there are any If there are any problems with the audio, just let me know. The song did finish. That's... Hello, everybody. Hello. How's it going? What's new? We're going to do question time, and I'm going to do some things that are not questions. I will also just sort of go over some things that we've been working on. It's nice to see you. I'm glad you can all see my very red face from being out in the sun in Nojoke town. I think what I'll do, I have some, we'll call them set pieces ready to go about a couple of things, maybe 3 things that I would like to raise awareness of and talk about with everybody. And other than that, I'm just going to take questions. There are a couple of subjects. Oh man, the microphone is really struggling here. I'm way too loud. There are a couple of subjects that I will not take questions on. Actually, there's probably a lot of subjects that I won't take questions on, but most of you will be smart enough to not try asking me, I don't know, some untoward question. The 2 sorts of questions that will happen that I will not be answering are about ban appeals and cheat reports. So, if you have been banned, or a friend of yours has been banned, or whoever has been banned, and you would like to discuss them being banned and convince me not to continue to ban them, then I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. You will have to go to lichess.org/appeal and ask the people there. Cheat reports. If you, or well, really any misbehavior, any sort of user reports. If you have found someone on Lichess who you think is cheating, or they're very rude, or whatever else they're doing that you don't like, and you would like to tell me about that person so that I will do mean things to them, possibly ban them. Again, this is not the correct place. Please go to lichess.org/report, or go to the report button on that person's profile and explain yourself there. Other Lichess related topics I'm very happy to talk about. So let's take some questions. The other way this is going to work, the other thing I should mention, I guess, is that there are very often other Lichess people in chat who are just as qualified to answer questions, if not more qualified than I am, and they can they will very often answer these sort of one-off, like one-sentence questions. Like if somebody needs to know where a setting is, very often, like someone in chat will just tell you right away. And I'm a little bit behind on chat, obviously, because of, basic latency, and also because it takes me time to read. So I may skip over these questions that have like very simple one-sentence answers and sort of hope that my colleagues fill in with Twitch chat, but I'll answer some of them too. Anyway, what's a question? I see a person asking to ask a question, which is always great. I love the preliminary "may I ask a question" question. All flags of the countries in the world in the profile are carefully drawn, and the flag for Earth is very low quality, pixelated, ugly, without effects like the other flags. Can you make it better? Well, first of all, I have a question about that for whoever. I wasn't aware there was a flag, official flag of the Earth. I don't remember agreeing to that. I live on the Earth, have for many years, and I feel like I should have some say in that. Is the Earth democratic? Do we vote on it? What happens here? To answer your question, I'm sure we could make that image better. If anyone watching would like to help with that process, you can, because Lichess is a community that's very collaborative, and it's a sort of thing where you can kind of take the initiative yourself. That flag you see is an image file. It's probably a vector, and if you can find a better one, and if you submit it to the Lichess GitHub, and we agree that it's better, it will very likely get implemented. You'll very likely see it the next time the site updates. And this process I'm describing to you is not theoretical. People do it all the time. People do it all. We have a Discord, which is very popular, which is chat rooms, if you're not familiar with Discord. And people often will come into the Discord and say, I don't like X, Y, and Z. I think it can be better. And we give the answer that is just sort of shruggy and like, yeah, you're probably right. And then the person says, well, what if I did it? What if I wrote the code and made it better? And we say, well, go for it. And they do. And they do. It's the beauty of open source. It's the beauty of free software that these sorts of things can happen. It's going to sound, it may sound to some people like we're sort of, how do I explain? Sort of putting off work on other people. It's very, fixing this flag or any issue on Lichess can of course be fixed by official like Lichess devs as well. And if you are not a programmer and you find an issue with Lichess like this, the way to report it, the official way to report it, is to use the GitHub. I would, if you are have an issue like that, I would first of all take it to the Discord and sort of triage the issue. There may be reasons that a GitHub issue is not appropriate, but let me show you. Here's our GitHub page, right here. There are various pieces of software that make up Lichess, but the main one is Leela. You go to Leela and you go to issues and you can make a new issue if you have a GitHub account. So if anyone feels very passionately about this flag thing or anything else, you can make a GitHub issue. Hopefully after triaging in the Discord or here. What else do we have? Is there any plan to expand kids' activities? I teach children and they love hunting for the stars when learning. Probably hunting for the stars. No, okay. First of all, we don't really announce upcoming like features. We announce features when you can use the feature. Announcing the feature and being able to play the feature are almost always just things that happen at the same time for us. The current sort of kid-centric features that we have is the Learn page right here, Chess Basics, which is very, kids love it. It's not specifically for kids, but kids do seem to like it a lot. You take these stars and you're really just moving the pieces around to get used to how they move. And it gets harder and harder, and I think even experienced players will probably occasionally screw up the ones at the end. And we also have classes. Where is it? Under Learn. You can't see it because I'm not logged in, but we also have classes, lichess.org/class, which everyone should look at if you are a teacher or a coach. How do you decide when to trade minor pieces in the middle game? I think that's a question for a different person. What else do we have here? Ads on the Lichess Twitch channel. Scandal. There's no question there, but I would like to respond to that. Yes, there are sometimes ads on the Lichess Twitch channel. And the reason that there are ads on the Lichess Twitch channel is because the only way to not have ads on the Lichess Twitch channel is to not have a Lichess Twitch channel. So, we're doing our best. If anyone knows how to not have ads on a Twitch channel, please contact us. We would definitely be interested in that. How many spies do you have in the Chess 24 team? Roughly 75% of the Chess 24 team are Lichess spies. We have them fully compromised. When playing anonymously with white, some players wait until the game times out, and the next game all of a sudden I'm playing black. Why are we penalized for someone else's actions? Well, I can understand seeing things that way. From the website's perspective, you played a game as white and then you played a game as black. So I suppose my recommendation would be to make an account and then the colors will be equalized and you will be able to punish these people who time out with rating loss. Can we keep the chat quality high so only high elo comments on chess? Cool. I think that's a fantastic idea. Does Lichess still give out LM titles? No, we do not. Sorry. It's been actually several years since we did that, so it's probably not coming back. We have some garden variety light mode complaining. You people that don't like light mode, what shall I say to you? if you don't like light mode, I think the important thing to remember is that you are wrong about that. That your opinion is incorrect. Sometimes I will take my laptop out to my backyard and I'll sit out there in nature and just do my work, and light mode is not optional in moments like that because of sunlight. So sorry, dark mode supremacists. Your extreme opinions are not welcome here. I'm just kidding. Nobody take that seriously, please. I try to be a little bit engaging and make what I'm saying interesting in addition to just like answering the questions. And it gets me in trouble sometimes. Let me tell a quick story before I go into the next question. I was reading the Reddit one day, as I am wont to do from time to time, and I think maybe it was Thibaut's AMA, or maybe it was like an unrelated thread, but somebody was talking to Thibaut on Reddit, and they said, I suggested a feature and you laughed at me. And Thibaut said, I don't think I would laugh at, I don't remember that. And they said, yeah, it was some guy on your Twitch channel, and I suggested a feature and he laughed at me. And I was thinking, oh no, oh no, that's me, that's a thing that I do. And so he like linked the time, and I went and looked at it, and here's what happened. He suggested Puzzle Storm with no timer. And if you're not familiar with Puzzle Storm is right here. Okay, it is timed puzzles. You solve the puzzles as quick as you can. And this person suggested Puzzle Storm with no timer. And I chuckled a little bit. I don't know if I would call it a laugh. You could call it a laugh. I chuckled a bit, and I said, Puzzle Storm with no timer, isn't that just puzzles? Isn't puzzles with a timer the definition of Puzzle Storm? And I like went on to the next question. And this person was very upset that I had laughed at their idea. Now, you may say that there's a difference between, being disrespectful and seeming disrespectful, but it's not relevant here because I don't want to do either one of those. I don't want to intentionally be disrespectful to anyone, nor do I want them to, understand that I was, whether or not I intended to. So reading that, so I apologized to the guy, and it was all good. These sorts of things make me very nervous when I'm speaking on Twitch channels. As a postscript to that story, the very next feature that we implemented after that stream was Puzzle Storm with no timer, which is really funny. And I didn't understand the idea at all. It went right over my head, and it is now called Puzzle Streak. And it's actually probably my favorite puzzle feature at the moment. I didn't understand the point at all, and now that it exists, I get it. It's fantastic. The streak gives weight to puzzles that it otherwise doesn't have. Puzzle Streak, basically you solve a puzzle, and then you get a streak. You've solved one puzzle, you've solved two, you solved three, and the puzzles get harder. And so when you're on 45 puzzles or something, there's a lot of weight. You don't want to get the next one wrong and screw up your streak. So it's a fantastic feature. What else do we have? What's the amount of beers you can drink and still... He didn't finish the comment. He may have had some beers himself. I don't know. I don't think you should count beers while you're drinking them. I think that's against the spirit of beers. Oh, no, we have people appealing and reporting cheaters. Why in the World Cup is there a women's section, an open section, but no men's section? I don't know. Ask FIDE. We didn't organize the World Cup. Let's see. Do you plan to publish a new media kit with revised data? We could, if there is a need for such things. I believe it has the updated logo. I don't even know what's in the media kit that would need to be updated. I guess I can make myself a little note. Hold on. We'll just add that to the to-do list. Check media kit. Woo. I have a question. So if my opponent is rude to me and I am also rude to him or her, you don't know who it is, and he reports me for being rude, how does it work? Well, I can't really give a concrete answer to that because it includes too many, there's too many possibilities here. More generally, when there is a report of rudeness, the way we review it is with a human being. And that human being has to make judgment calls. They need to decide to do nothing. Maybe they will give you a warning. Maybe they will mute you, so you can no longer use any of the communication features. Whatever we decide, you can appeal it, and we are, may I say, very understanding and very empathetic. And generally, if a person is rude or is accused of rudeness, and they have a good attitude about it, and they say, you know, I didn't mean to cause any trouble or whatever, we will generally be very, very forgiving. My recommendation would be to not be rude. if you can avoid it. What else do we have here? Are there any plans to record more Lichess songs? Yes, sure. I think there will be many, many more Lichess songs. Can you add flags of the Kaliningrad region? This region is European and Russia is not this country. Please. Again, off the top of my head and not knowing anything about the subject, sure, fine, new flags are always great. Make an issue or submit the appropriate images yourself. People get really upset about flags. And I'm not referring to the person asking the question, but the flags garner complaints. The flags garner complaints because A, people will complain about anything, and B, if you make a flag for a region and then another person feels very strongly that that region does not qualify as a country, and then another person feels very strongly that it does qualify as a country, they will get very angry and they will say, Lichess is taking sides against us or against my country or against that other person's non-country. And I would encourage those people to remember it's just a flag. There's also a Lichess flag you can choose. And Lichess isn't a country yet. We are working on that. More news on Lichess the country coming soon. Does Lichess still give out LM? No. This question is very accusatory. One question, can you tell us when Lichess will use a more transparent system and ditch the arbitrary way of showcasing regular users in the streamer in front end? Well, so I assume what this person is talking about is the stream links, which is up here in the upper left. And the stream links are necessarily limited. On a normal day, they are limited to a maximum of 5 people. And the way they are chosen is indeed fairly arbitrary. We just choose. We just choose if we think that Lichess users would be happy to be made aware of this person streaming or not. I guess my answer to the question formally is, what other system would you prefer that we use? I would absolutely listen to ideas for a better system. And it could be more fair, more transparent, or whatever improvements you think you could make. I don't have an idea that is better than what we do off the top of my head, but there are people smarter than me in the world who could come up with something. Will Lichess ever host some grand super tournaments? Well, we had a tournament not too long ago with Magnus in it. The Katara Bullet tournament at the end of, in June, featured world champion Magnus Carlsen. Seems pretty good to me. We clearly don't host tournaments like in exactly the same way or as often as the other big chess websites. and we're not opposed to doing it more. Just don't. There are some aspects of our philosophy that make doing these sorts of business deals difficult. But there's no reason, I think, theoretically, that we couldn't host all these tournaments. And as I mentioned, about a month ago, we did. We have Swiss and Arena tournaments in Lichess. Can we have something like a knockout? It's much more interesting to watch. Well, you can theoretically have any format you like if you know how to do API pairings. So let me tell you what API pairings are. The API, which I should have up and ready to go, but I don't, is found at lichess.org/API. And if you learn how to do all of that API black magic, you can manually yourself or via a script make games for other players on Lichess, so that the game will just appear with the two players ready to go. I'm leaving out a lot of details here, but that's basically the gist of it. And many organizers use this to make games for their events. So, for example, there was recently a FIDE event, the Business Cup, and the games were made with the API. So the arbiters made pairings. We see who's supposed to play. There's some tippy-tappy on the keyboard, and then boom, we have the games. This system is not, in my opinion, so inaccessible. If you are a tournament organizer, I would encourage you to look into it, because you don't necessarily have to be a Thibaut Duplessis level developer in order to use it. The API also does lots of other useful things like download games or download tournament information. If you are anyone who does Lichess things, I would encourage you to investigate it. I see a question about using multiple people using the same IP address. Maybe I missed the first part. Multiple people are allowed to use the same IP address, of course. People are asking about chess things. Please don't ask me how to be good at chess. If I knew how to be good at chess, I'd be good at chess. Have you considered that? I demand an apology. I had to see a 30-second advertisement before seeing the stream. On behalf of Lichess, I apologize. Why can't you do multiple pre-moves on Lichess? Multiple pre-moves. Well, this is one of the more popular questions. There are no multiple pre-moves on Lichess, and that is not an accident. It is not because we haven't gotten around to implementing it. Not having multiple pre-moves is a stylistic choice. It changes the way that the game works. Whenever this subject comes up, I feel very unqualified to talk about it because I am not a big speed demon as a player. I prefer to play with increment. I prefer to play relatively slower games. I'm not playing a lot of 1-0. I'm not playing Ultra. So, my opinion is not the most valuable, but I do know the opinion of people who have more valuable opinions. And generally what they would tell you is that we want 0-second pre-moves on Lichess. We want no multiple pre-moves. And my understanding of why is that it's because it raises the skill ceiling a bit. If you are a Andrew Tang style Neo from the Matrix level quick with your mouse, you have more of a chance to show it without pre-moves. That's my understanding. So, multiple pre-moves are not on the way and will not be on the way unless we change our mind, which could happen. Would you consider actually adding the April Fool's joke that you made? I thought it was a great idea. I think there may be some practical issues with implementing that. If it's open source, how do you prevent people from destroying the site? Let's discuss. Let's discuss. Oh man, the questions pile up so quickly. Okay, so this is one of the things I wanted to talk about, and it has to do with open source, so it's perfect. Let's talk about this article here. Let's talk about open source and free software and Chessbase and Fat Fritz and Stockfish. I'm not going to talk so much about the lawsuit against Chessbase. I would encourage you to read this article if you want to learn more about that. I want to explain what open source software is. I want to explain what free source software is, because when I'm reading the comments for this blog post, or I'm reading the comments from other blog posts on the same subject, it becomes very noticeable that the general chess public just doesn't know what free software is. And it would be useful to explain it now. So let's start from the beginning. Open source and free software are two phrases that are often used interchangeably, and they're not the same thing. There are key differences. Lichess is both open source and free software. Open source means that the code that makes up your software can be seen publicly, right? So you can go to the GitHub page that I just showed you here, and you can see every jot and tittle of the code. Free software, to simplify things a bit, my explanation will probably anger the more technically minded. Apologies. Free software means that furthermore, that code that anyone can see can also be used by anyone. So, Lichess is free software. You can not only see the software, you can take the software and you can use it. You can make your own software that builds on what Lichess is. You can alter it and improve it. And this is fine with Lichess. However, there is a license that goes along with it. It is not that the code is unlicensed. It is that the code has a license, but you don't fulfill it by paying us. You fulfill the license by continuing in the spirit that we gave you the code and making whatever you make also free software, right? And so when to give a tiny bit of context on the lawsuit, Stockfish has revoked Chessbase's license to distribute Stockfish, and they think Chessbase continues to distribute it, and they're in violation, and it's going to be decided by courts and judges and lawyers. When I read the comments on this story, I see a lot of people saying, how dare Stockfish take something that's free and charge for it, which I guess is understandable and possibly a correct thing to think, but is not the source of the lawsuit. You are allowed to take Stockfish or Lichess or any free software and make something and charge for it. That is not what the meaning of free software does not mean free in terms of price. It means free in terms of like freedom of speech, right? Liberating the code. So the problem with Chessbase and Stockfish is not that they use Stockfish or not that they charge for it. The problem is that they did not release the source code. What they made is not free software. And in fact, in the case of Houdini, they haven't released anything. They haven't made any attempt to be in compliance with the license. And this is very confusing to people if you have a very business mindset where that code is mine, I made it, no one else gets to touch it, no one else gets to use it, which you are allowed to do with your code, but that is not how we do things here. Around here, we share our code. So I would encourage everyone to read this article on the Chessbase lawsuit and to read up on free software. So I think the original question was how do they not break the site if it's open source? Well, having access to the code doesn't mean you have access to the servers that Lichess is on, so you can't break the site. Could you find something in all of that open source code that would let you break the site? In theory, but well, we're very careful about that. So no, that is not a huge danger of that happening. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Man, there are a lot of questions. People are very questioning. If I miss your question, I apologize, by the way. I'm doing my best. Let's see here. Any chance for a full rainbow of arrow colors or not enough modifier keys on any given keyboard? Well, finding the modifier keys would indeed be problematic. because you don't want to, if it's in a browser, you don't want to hit any of the ones that the browser uses. For example, I don't think we would add a full rainbow, like 256 colors or something. It seems like a lot. Seems like too much. But I would let you sell me on the idea if you feel strongly. Keyboard. I see people asking about keyboard. So we need to answer the keyboard question, as we do in every stream. I love taking a sip of water. I didn't do it very well there. You're supposed to take the sip when you're saying something very dramatic, like to give pause, but I didn't. It was just in the middle of a random sentence. I'm sorry. Keyboard. So for those who are not aware, keyboard, when people say keyboard, they are referring to the KB extension, the keyboard extension, which is used on Lichess to make moves. It allows you to use buttons on the keyboard to input your moves in a game, which has the effect of letting you input those moves much faster than you would with the mouse, which allows you to play faster, which is, of course, quite a big factor in ultra bullet games and, to some extent, bullet games. The extension is legal. On Lichess, you are fully within your rights, and has been hotly discussed among Lichess people. There are people who think that it should be banned, and those people have a very reasonable opinion that we happen to disagree with at the moment. When you make the argument that you would like keyboard to be banned, what you have to do, if you want to convince Lichess that we're wrong and that keyboard should be banned, I would encourage you to focus on how it affects the experience of playing. I hear people say it needs to be banned because it gives an advantage. And I don't doubt that it does give you an advantage. Again, speed chess is not really my thing, but on the surface it seems to give an advantage. I imagine there wouldn't be people using it if they didn't. But we will not ban things just because they give an advantage. We will ban things when it makes the experience on the site worse. Is playing Ultra Bullet or Bullet on Lichess worse because keyboard exists? This question is more complicated than the one of does it give an advantage, in my opinion. I think there are people who say that they love keyboard, and there are people who say they hate keyboard and they wish it was gone. The precise percentages of those two groups would be very, very difficult to guess. I hope that's a satisfying answer. I know I rambled a bit, but that's the state of things right now. Not strictly related to Lichess, but I was wondering how you get the live moves of OTB games. I'd be interested in programming something with it. Oh, so let's talk about the feature that this mentioned. So we have a feature on Lichess that is called Broadcast, and it has actually gotten a lot of love lately. It has gotten love from two parts of the Lichess team. The first one is the devs, who have implemented new features. And the second one is by the Lichess team, which has been doing an amazing job of adding new events. So what this is a list of, in real life, live over the board, well, not all over the board, here's one that isn't, ongoing events. And you can click on it, and you can see the games happening. If they are live, they will live update. So here's a game that I suppose is happening right now. And you can see the clocks counting down at the bottom and the top. You could see a computer evaluation if you want. You can see the opening database. You can see table bases. You can see a chat if you leave it on, unlike me who has just turned it off. You can see previous rounds. You can see upcoming rounds. You can see when they're about to start. All of these things are really great. The question was, how do you get the moves? Well, that's where the non-dev team members come in, because if we want to have, for example, the World Cup on Lichess, we need to contact the organizers of the World Cup and ask them to send us a link to the moves. Those boards they're playing on at the World Cup are called DGT boards. They might use a different kind, I don't know. Basically, electronic boards that send a PGN of the ongoing game that updates live and host it somewhere. And the organizers send us that link, and we plug the link into the broadcast, and you get to see the games. Generally, the more motivated and competent organizers will in fact send those links to us because they want their event to be on Lichess. It helps to promote the event. People seeing the event might cause them to play in the event next year or whatever. So if you want to get that PGN link, I guess you would have to write to the organizers the same as us. The good news is, it seems like this person wanted to tinker around with something. You actually already get a link to those moves from Lichess, because if you scroll down here, right? If you scroll down here and you go to the Share tab and you click on Download All Games, actually you don't have to click on. You could right-click and get the URL that it links to. You will find a PGN right here. You will find a PGN that is hosted by Lichess that could be used for broadcast software because it updates live and it can be pulled fairly hard without getting you rate limited. So whatever software you're thinking of building, just go to broadcast, get that link, and connect it to that, and it should work fairly well. What is the situation with the chess-based lawsuit? Stockfish has filed their lawsuit, but I don't believe Chessbase has seen it yet. The German legal system takes some time to sort all these things out. It's going to take a while. We're not going to know who won in a week. It's going to be a while. What else do we have? Man, it's difficult to talk and to do this stream while you see the little bar on the chat just flying up. It doesn't feel good that I won't get to answer all the questions, but okay. What else do we have? People asking about upcoming features. We don't really announce upcoming features. If you're a very sneaky person, you can probably figure out what the upcoming features will be, but we won't formally announce them. The reason we don't formally announce them is that no one should formally announce them. Why would you formally announce them? That's crazy. It's so wild. You see these video game companies that announce a game that's coming out in like 7 years. Here's my game that's coming out in 2028. And they announce all these features. You'll be able to play this guy, and you'll have this gun, and you'll have this armor, and you'll be able to go to this place, and you'll be able to drive cars, and you'll be able to fly airplanes, and you'll be able to go to the moon, and you'll be able to sip a mojito, and you'll be able to do X and Y and Z. That is so crazy because they haven't actually done any of that or really have a good idea if they can, and they've already like promised they're doing it. We will definitely do all of those things. We will definitely have mojitos, right? And the problem is when you sit down to actually try and implement it, you may discover that it's harder to do than you thought it would. You may discover that that bit of code doesn't play nice with the other bits. You may discover that it's just impossible. It just can't be done. There are limitations that cannot be overcome, which is very awkward, having already promised people that you will definitely do it. So Lichess doesn't do any of that. If we have an idea to implement something, well, we try to implement it. And if it doesn't work out, then we don't implement it. We haven't told anybody we were going to implement it. We haven't guaranteed anything. So, yeah, that one didn't work. On to the next one. If you want to be a very sneaky person and see what we're working on and see what may be coming up, here is what you need to do. Let me teach you to be a very sneaky person. First of all, you need to go to the GitHub page and you need to go to commits. So we go to the main GitHub page here and we click on commits. Now these are bits of code that Lichess devs have added to the code base. The ones at the top are very likely not yet on the site live because we can only add things when the site updates. And it updates, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, more if there's a reason to, possibly less sometimes. There's no set update schedule. And these commits you're looking at are often surprisingly human readable. Like if you are not a developer and you've never written code, there's a decent chance that you can understand what's going on here. The more technical ones will probably go over your head, but there's usually just in common language like what the thing does, or it will be connected to a Git issue, which is written in very non-technical language. And you can see what we're working on here. So, for example, in the time when we were about to implement PuzzleStorm, you would see lots of PuzzleStorm commits, right? And they would all say WIP, work in progress. So you'd say PuzzleStorm interface, PuzzleStorm puzzles, PuzzleStorm this, PuzzleStorm that. And you could know that something called PuzzleStorm was coming up. The other thing you can do that is very sneaky, if you want to know what Lichess is up to, is you can go to the Discord. The Discord is where we discuss in real time developer things, and there's also, of course, a general channel where people post cute pictures of cats and whatnot. And occasionally we will have some kind of beta if there's something we want to test, and we would probably put it on the Discord. So that's your sneakiness lesson. What else do we have? I see people like spam questions. It's probably not totally correct to do that. Somebody says their voice chat doesn't work. It's a very difficult thing to troubleshoot over a Twitch stream, because there are many things that could be wrong with that. If you have technical issues like this with Lichess, my advice to you is to do some basic checks on your own browser and on your own connection, and then I would head to the Discord and ask about it. The basic checks would be things like, if you're using the app, make sure the app is up to date. Make sure that your operating system on your phone is up to date, or whatever device you're using. If you're using a browser, make sure the browser is up to date. The only officially supported browsers for Lichess are Chrome and Firefox. We try to keep Safari working as well as we can. And make sure you have a good connection. You cannot, how do I put this? When you test your connection, you should know that it's perfectly possible to be connected to another thing on the internet and not Lichess, and it's not Lichess's fault, if that makes sense. So very often you will see people say, and not just with Lichess, they'll say, I was connected to this website and I was also on a Skype call, and the Skype call didn't drop, so I know that my connection to whatever else didn't drop. You do not know that. That is not how things work. There is no one connection to the internet. There is lots of connections to lots of different things. The other aspect to consider when you are on a mobile device is that being connected to the cell tower does not mean you have a good connection to the internet. Anyway, I hope all of that waffling was useful. What else do we have? Ooh, I wonder if there would be an offline version of Lichess Studies and Puzzles possible. I don't know if there is right now. Yeah, I mean, of course it's possible. It's not very interesting to answer the question if it's possible. Like, yes, of course, it's possible. The question is if we are going to do it. Standalone software that is like desktop software, non-browser things, would be a pretty big step out of what we normally do. Lichess right now is a website and it is a mobile app. And building a third thing would be a significant increase in the maintenance costs. So I won't say it'll never happen, but we are hesitant. What else do we have? When are you going to implement a feature to study openings from a study? Well, you can study openings from a study. I am guessing you mean something along the lines of spaced repetition sort of thing, or something along those lines. There is a website you might want to check out called Lee Study, which is listudy.org. which takes Lichess studies, and I believe it spaced repetitions them. It has some other cool features as well. That leads me to the page, the extend page, which I try to mention in all of these streams. So this is lichess.org/page extend, and there's lots of cool stuff here. What happens is that we get lots of feature requests, as I'm getting in this stream, obviously. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? This would be a $1 million idea. Please implement it. And very often the thing that people are asking for already exists, but it is not, formally a piece of Lichess software. So one of the things people ask for all the time is a personal opening explorer. Could you put a personal opening explorer on Lichess? It's an opening explorer with only your games from one account. And the motivation for us to implement that on Lichess is not very high because it already exists. It's called openingtree.com. Let me scroll down a bit. Openingtree.com is a website where you put in a Lichess or chess.com account and you get all of that account's games. So let's see what old Nojoke has been up to. I'm not going to log in, but you get faster info if you log in. Let's see what Nojoke plays as black. All right, analyze, and it starts loading. And as soon as it's loading games, you can go to this and you can see all of the games with win percentages next to them. So you can see what I play against e4, you can see what I play against d4, and so on and so forth. Lots of cool stuff like this on that extend page if you are interested. I highly recommend all of it. Let's see what else we have. Opening tree doesn't work for variants. Oh, sorry. Not a question, but the Lichess coverage of the FIDE World Cup is awesome. Broadcast streams with analysis, interviews, blog posts, and the World Cup channel on the Discord. Yeah, I wanted to mention that. It's going to sound like I picked a ringer to mention their comment, but it was one of the things I was meaning to mention. We've been making lots of great content from the World Cup. So I am Laura Unuk, has been there for the previous days and has been giving live commentary and has done some incredible interviews. We get some really big names. There's a Norwegian grandmaster named Magnus Carlsen who we interviewed live on the air. Perhaps you've heard of him. We also talked to MVL. Let's see who else. Talked to Krishenko. We talked to Vidit, Jeffrey Zhang, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't followed our YouTube channel or our Twitch channel, please do so now. Let's see. Does Thibaut read all the suggestions posted on GitHub? I posted one that I thought was pretty good, but got no answers. All right, let's talk about, to answer this question, let's talk about implementing new features in general and how it works and what causes us to implement something new and why, if you suggested something new, it didn't get implemented. Very often people will show up in the Discord or they will show up on GitHub and they will have some idea. I think that you should have this variant. I think there should be a button here or there. I think that you should be able to do this or that. And our answer to it is, okay, that sounds reasonable. And then that feature does not get implemented right away. And people can be confused. And I think it's because they misunderstand how website development works and what it means to implement something new. Okay? When you implement something new on a website, the amount of work it takes to write the code is generally a very small amount of the total work you will do to take care of that feature, because there will be maintenance work, right? Things in that feature will break, or they will suddenly not get along well with other features, and you will have to fix them. Certain aspects of the feature might have to be updated, right? If there's some if a programming language needs to get updated, there will be work associated with it. So when you add a new feature, it is not only the time to write the code, but also to maintain it, which means that every new feature makes future new features slower to appear. Because if something is broken on the website, we are going to prioritize fixing the broken thing before adding something new. I think that's a very, I don't think I have to justify that. I think everyone would agree. So if someone asks about Bughouse, for example, and they may say, how long do you think it would take Thibault to write the code for Bughouse? I wouldn't take long at all. I don't know, a week or two or something, who knows? He'd pop that right out. Well, so why don't you implement Bughouse? Well, you can't just write the code and then walk away forever. That will have to be maintained. And actually, Bughouse is more complex than most things because it's so different from regular chess. For example, regular chess has 2 people, Bughouse has 4 people. So the seek system, where you find a game, is built for 2 people. We would have to make the seek system more complicated. The rating system is designed for 2 people, so we'd have to make the rating system more complicated. Okay? The analysis board is designed for 2 people, so we'd have to make that more complicated. And of course, people may think of workarounds where, leave the analysis board out or make it unrated or whatever. But it adds to the work to maintain the site, and that work is what makes us hesitate to implement Bughouse, not so much the difficulty of writing the code in the beginning. Has anyone beat level 8 Stockfish? They must have at some point. Yeah, so okay, the original question was, why didn't I get a response? You're probably not going to get a full explanation of why that feature isn't on the site right now. And part of the reason is that because we don't necessarily even disagree that it would be a good idea. It could be a good idea. The problem is there's a lot of good ideas. There are always going to be more good ideas than there will be human beings that will build and maintain them. When are we removing Racing Kings? You can never remove features, ever. This is the other problem with implementing new things. It is totally against international law, and it is also a sin, and it is totally impossible to remove a feature once you have implemented it. Once you implement something, you have to have it forever. So you'd better be really sure you want it, because it is never going away. Implementing a new feature is like having a child. It should not be done willy-nilly. It should only be done after careful and sober consideration of all the consequences. Is there a public backlog of what is being worked on? Yes, there is a changelog, lichess.org/changelog, and also the commits on the GitHub here. Will it be possible to change usernames in the future? Probably not. The good news is that you can always close your account and open a new one. That is not a perfect solution, I understand, because you will lose the list of games. The games themselves won't be deleted. You still can see them. And you will lose your followers, and you'll lose your private message history and whatever else. Name changes are not an easy implementation because of how we format that data. There is no display name for users on Lichess. Your username is the name of your user in the database, so changing it, I assume, would mean refactoring things significantly, not just adding, a new field or whatever. So it's not impossible that we would ever have name changes, but I wouldn't expect to see it in the near future. can't get drunk and make a feature. Yes, exactly. How does Thibaut decide what to work on any given day? It's mostly, and I want to emphasize this is not just Thibaut. This is pretty much how everyone works on Lichess. This is how I work on Lichess, how the mods do. Thibaut can mostly decide for himself. The things within his remit, which would be the code, is kind of, basically we trust him to find what to work on. Doesn't mean that he's the only one who decides anything based on the code. We also have long discussions about what to do. And it has certainly happened where Thibaut didn't want to implement something or wasn't a fan of the idea, and the other Lichess folk talked him into it. And we talked about keyboard earlier. Lots of questions about keyboard. I guess there's not much more to say. What else do we have? When will Lichess clarify the terms of service regarding multiple accounts? Yeah, there's a new terms of service coming. There was I saw something on Twitter. I guess it was Chess Network posted something from the Lichess forums that said, "Why does Magnus get to have multiple accounts?" And Thibaut said, "Because he's world champion," which is funny, but it's not actually the most accurate answer because lots of people have multiple accounts. Very generally, if you have multiple accounts and you are not using them to cover up some other misbehavior, it is perfectly fine with us, as long as you don't have some insane number. If you're making a new account every day, every hour on the hour, we're definitely going to do something about that. But multiple accounts are not quite as verboten as the sign-up page might suggest. And it's actually very common for, speaking of Magnus specifically, it's very common for titled players to have multiple accounts because they have anonymous accounts. They have one account which they use to play in official events, and then they have another account when they're screwing around and playing blitz and drinking beers. Or playing training games that they don't want people to see. And that's okay with us. Nojoke, your views on ChessBase. I'm not a fan of what they did. I think that should probably be pretty clear from blog posts. It's probably more accurate to say multiple accounts are discouraged rather than prohibited. That's a very, very good way to put it. Is there a documentation on the APIs available for integration? Yes, leechess.org/API. Yep, and Floyd links it. Very good. Any way to view the results in a table or a results tree, especially for the World Cup? The World Cup broadcast has a link to the official FIDE knockout tree somewhere. Yeah, right here. Wait. Yeah, so here are the brackets. You can see them right here. We would love to put that directly into the broadcast, but there are an insane number of players at the World Cup, and we couldn't get all 5 billion of them into the little tournament information box. Sorry. Did Thibaut study computer science in college? I believe so. I'm not super well informed on my good friend Thibaut's academic history, to be honest, off the top of my head. You would have to ask him. Are there plans for Stockfish 14 in the browser or something similar like drills? Okay, so Stockfish 14 is not on Lichess yet, and it is for technical reasons. because you cannot, unfortunately, take the Stockfish engine and just pop it in a browser and it works out of the box. Stockfish needs a little help. So with Stockfish 13, we were able to accomplish that. With 14, there is a significant problem. Since Stockfish has implemented the neural net feature, which I believe they've been using since 13, you need a neural net to make proper vanilla Stockfish work. The neural net needs to be downloaded for you to use it. This can cause problems for in-browser Stockfish because if you're on a browser, you will have to wait for that file to download, and you may see a file downloading when you're using Stockfish 13 on Lichess. And if you're on mobile, you might have a very slow connection, or you might be getting charged for data, and of course it can cause problems. My understanding of the Stockfish 14's net is that the net is quite a large file size, and it's a file size that we're not willing to make people download. I have heard some rumors that net size can be reduced without losing a lot of strength. If we're able to make that work, you will get a version of Stockfish 14 on Lichess as soon as we figure that out. People are saying that it was in the changelog. So when you play a game, at the bottom of the analysis board it says request analysis, and it gives you a nice graph. That Stockfish is already 14 because it's not running in your browser. It is running on a server from one of the people who have volunteered CPU time. And that sort of Stockfish 14 works just fine. You will not find it in the analysis board. You will not find it on puzzles or anywhere else where there is Stockfish. You can see here Stockfish 13 and then UE. And even you won't be able, well, you won't get Stockfish 13 on some browsers. I think it may struggle on Firefox. Not sure where that stands exactly. If your browser has trouble loading Stockfish 13, you will downgrade to Stockfish 12, which actually isn't a downgrade because Stockfish 12 is better than Stockfish 13 if Stockfish 13 doesn't have the net. How much is volunteered CPU time versus your own Lichess paid servers? If we're talking about Fishnet, which does the analysis graphs for games where you request analysis and it gives you the graph, I believe we don't have any paid servers. I believe it's all volunteer time. But I would have to check on that. It's possible that we have. It's certainly a majority volunteer time. If you're talking about the servers that host Lichess, yes, those ones are ours. I see someone that has been banned and they need to appeal. Yeah. As I mentioned, I can't help you with appeals, and I can't help you if you have a cheat report. Those need to go to lichess.org/report or lichess.org/appeal, respectively. How was Lichess formed? I think Thibaut started it. How did you join? Oh, well, this is a big question. Well, you see, when a daddy Lichess and a mommy Lichess love each other very much. No. Lichess was a hobby project for Thibaut for a long time, and he, as I've had it explained to me, he just kind of wanted to learn about a new programming language and wanted to sort of tinker around and see what he could do, and then slowly it picked up features. He made some friends, and those people became, they helped him maintain the site, they helped him write code as well as moderate. I am one of those gadflies that sort of got stuck together. I was a streamer. I guess I'm still a streamer. Yeah, I am still a streamer. I was a streamer, and I was streaming chess, and I streamed from ICC, and then one of these Lichess extremists found me and radicalized me, and I started playing on Lichess. And then later on, I was doing lessons with Christoph Selecki, and I was streaming the lessons. And this was about the time that studies came along as a feature, and I was asked to sort of beta test them and do my lessons with Christoph on them and see what happens. And that's how I met everybody and sort of got into the fold. And then I started writing blog posts because somebody was like, hey, we need to write a blog post. And I was like, I'll do it. Fast forward multiple years, and here I am rambling about the keyboard extension. What else do we have? Do you actually host the servers, or are they public? No, they're OVH servers. So, yeah, we there's no Lichess server room. Well, there is a room with Lichess servers in it, but we only rent the servers. We do not own them or own the room that they sit in. How can I compare Lichess ratings with official ELO ratings? You cannot. There are no official ELO ratings because Arpad Elo, the man who invented and owns the ELO system, died a long time ago. There are FIDE ratings, there are USCF ratings, there are English Chess Federation ratings, and probably many other federations. There are Lichess ratings, there are chess.com ratings, chess24 ratings, ICC ratings, Yahoo Chess ratings, probably some others that I'm forgetting. Does Kasparov Chess have ratings? Yeah. And all of these rating systems don't match up because they are different for the same reason that Celsius and Fahrenheit don't match up. They are just different systems. They use different scales. You will probably not get the same number when you use those two different systems. And none of them are objectively the official one. If you consider the FIDE rating to be the official rating, you're allowed to like that one the best, I guess. I won't tell you what rating system to like. The important thing to remember is that the goal of the Lichess rating system, as I see it, is not to mimic another system. No one is looking at ratings and saying, oh, it doesn't match up, we need to fix that. Because we don't see that as a problem. Right? The purpose of the rating system is to get you a good game. We want to give you a chess game that is neither too hard nor too easy. It is not fun to win every game. It is not fun to lose every game. We want you to find a person that, either one is very close to being equally possible. And fortunately, we have this tool, the rating system, that allows us to very precisely see how good you are at chess and how good the people you could be playing against are. Lichess doesn't actually use ELO. We use Glico 2 because we think it's better. Why do we think it's better? What makes it better? I just gave a whole speech about how postmodern ratings are, and none of them are correct, and they're all... Well, it can be better because it can be more predictive, and you can compare rating systems this way. You can say, does this rating system predict who will win, and at precisely what level they will win? How well does this system do? How well does that system do? So if you want to say a rating system is better or worse, then that's the sort of arguments you should make. Are you planning another crazy tournament starting position like Wild 5 upside down chess? We weren't, but you're kind of talking me into it. Maybe we should do that again. Who decides what to put in the swag store? Like many things on Lichess, the decisions are made by whoever is available to make them. So there are a small number of Lichess team members who are more focused on the swag store or more like interested in improving it, and they are given the keys to the store and they add things. And that is how you get things on the swag store. Do you make sure cheaters can't just come back? Like if an account gets caught cheating, can they just make another one? So I have to be slightly careful in my response because we won't talk about precise cheat detection methods. But there is plenty that I can say. Lichess has many tools to help identify people that make new accounts. We have lots of sneaky ways that I will not discuss in specifics, where if a person makes a new account, we have at least some chance of knowing that. I won't say that we catch everyone that has ever done that. Of course not. No one can claim that. But if a person, the key point I want to get across is, if a person says, who cares about cheating, I'll just make a new account and do it again, the process is not quite that simple. I can't say that that no one has ever been able to do that, but we have defenses against that. How much does Thibaut earn if it's not a country level? So you can, all Lichess costs are on lichess.org/costs. Our expenses basically are public. So you can go find Thibaut's salary on that spreadsheet. I will note that the cost on the spreadsheet is the total cost to Lichess, not the money that Thibaut receives, because taxes are a thing, and they are really a thing in France. They are more of a thing than I am used to as an American. I hope that someone has linked the cost spreadsheet in chat. I will assume that they have. Does Lichess feel at all responsible for the death of ChessCube? I hope not. I mean, I didn't feel responsible, but now I'm worrying. ChessCube was cool, man. We didn't do that. Don't put that evil on us. R.I.P. ChessCube. ChessCube was great. Is Andrew Tang co-founder or something else on Lichess? No, he's just a guy that we know. He's nice. We like him. Can you share any stats about cheating reports, like how many reports per day, or what fraction of those are actually cheating? Well, I can't share them right now because I don't have them in front of me and they're not trivial to go find, but I sort of like the idea about sharing that stuff. The cheat detection wing of Lichess, which I guess I'm not supposed to call it cheat detection, right? I noticed that I'm the only person in the entire chess world that says the phrase cheat detection. I'm going to stop saying it. I feel like I'm saying a racial epithet here. Everyone else says fair play. So the Lichess fair play team, which is not what anyone calls it, it's just the mods. The Lichess fair play team is, I think, easily the biggest number of man hours invested into Lichess. We have something like 50 or 60 different people that do some level of work. Some of them work quite a lot. Some of them are paid and they are expected to put in a certain amount of work. Some of them are volunteers and still do tons of work because they're very generous people. Some of them, do just a little bit when they have time. But the amount of work invested into moderating Lichess is insane. And those people deserve tons of credit for making the website possible. And I think it would be, I like the idea of releasing statistics that demonstrate to the public the incredible burden that they shoulder, the crazy number of reports that they process, the crazy number of cheaters that get banned, etc., etc. What else do we have? Is Lichess available in North Korea? I don't know. Probably not. I don't think they get any internet there, do they? I think they have a local sort of LAN thing, but they don't have proper internet. That's sort of a question for the North Korea Ask Me Anything, and not so much the Lichess Ask Me Anything. Are you finding it tough competing against a sponsored site like chess.com? No, I think we do okay. And we're not competing, by the way. I'm being slightly pedantic here, but chess.com is not a competitor for us. And people are going to misunderstand that statement and think like, oh, they're terrible. They're not even competing. No, it's a great site. They do lots of great things. But they're not a competitor. We're not competing with them, right? Competing is what businesses do. Lichess is not a business. So if you're running a business, you need to always have more users and to have more money. And if somebody else is doing the same thing that you do, and they're taking users and they're taking your money, they're your enemy. You got to beat them. We're not a business. We don't do any of that. If chess.com makes $1 million or they go out of business, how does that make Lichess a better website? How does that make me any better or worse at my job? One thing's got nothing to do with the other, right? They may not see things the same way, but again, that's a question for their AMA and not mine. And I don't know, maybe people will hear that and they'll think that I'm trying to be magnanimous or something, or diplomatic. And I promise you I'm not. That is like how we see things. That's how I see things. I think that's how Lichess as an organization sees things. We want to make Lichess the best site it can be. We want it to do everything that modern chess websites do. And if it is doing it better or worse than some other site, or if some other site is doing better or worse, that really doesn't have anything to do with what our mission is. What countries have the most Lichess users overall and per capita? Well, Zachary Goldstein, this is a very difficult question to answer for us. It is not a very difficult question to answer for other websites. It is not a very difficult question to answer for Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Google, because those websites track you, okay? YouTube knows what country you're from and knows a lot of other things. YouTube knows what you had for breakfast, what you dreamed about last night, which of your friends you don't like very much. YouTube knows everything about you, okay? Lichess doesn't use trackers and we don't know that stuff. Now we can kind of sort of guess on some things. We get, the IP that you connect from, and if it's a, Sweden IP, that's probably a user from Sweden, probably. But we can't really know anything else. So answering the question of which countries send which users is problematic for us. The peak time of Lichess is around, I think it's like 14 or 15 UTC. And the peak time of chess.com to compare is a bit later, I believe, which would suggest that Lichess is more Euro and Asia, Africa centric, and chess.com is more United States centric. That whole metric is not especially scientific, so take it for what it's worth. Is there a way to automate creating tournaments? Yes, use the API. Absolutely. What else do we see? If a big company comes and offers you $10 million to buy Lichess, do you accept it? Well, me personally accepting it would be kind of a problem because I don't actually own it. Who does own it? Who would you have to ask? Well, Lichess is a charity organized in France, and I'm not a French lawyer, but I sort of doubt that you could ever really buy it. Like, that would be, even if we wanted to, which we don't, and we won't going forward, I don't think you could buy it. The other problem is that even if you could buy Lichess, you shouldn't buy Lichess. That would be a terrible idea. Anybody who has $10 million and wants to use it to buy Lichess, don't throw your money away. Let's talk about what would happen in the highly theoretical event of a Lichess purchase. Well, first of all, everybody that works for Lichess, like this amazing mod team I was telling you about, and the devs, and the guy who does Twitch streams, is immediately out. Like, I'm not in this game to work for some corporation. I'm done. And what we would do is go start another website, and it would be very easy to start a new, a Neo Lichess, because it's all open source, right? We would just keep doing the same thing. So to recap, buying Lichess, not interested, probably not possible, and not a good idea were it possible, which, going back to number 2, it probably isn't. Does that answer the question? What else do we got? Will Lichess allow users to set up a round-robin tournament? No current plans to implement round-robin. It can be done with the API, if you are an organizer that wants to set that up. What is API tokens? I'll answer this question, but when there are like technical questions like this, I highly recommend the Discord. There are dev channels in the Discord which are great. You can talk about Lichess development itself. You can talk about the API. There is a channel for helping you set up the Lichess dev environment. It is quite a resource. API tokens are basically a key. I mean, it's a text key, not the kind you put indoors, that gives access to a Lichess account. And so for round-robin tournaments, for example, the relevant permission would be the ability to challenge and to accept challenges. So if someone has an API token for your account, they can make challenges and accept challenges, which means they can make games for you. But there are other permissions that the API token can give. And I will refer you to the API documentation on that question. Lichess should go public with an IPO. Did you hear nothing I said? Oh. Are more piece sets and boards coming in the future? Man, there are quite a few already. Aren't there? Look at all these. Which one is it under here? No, sorry. Look at all these themes. Look at all these piece sets. It's so many. I mean, of course, there can always be more. If somebody has a piece set that they would like to submit, you can submit it on the GitHub. We might put it on the website. Will there ever be Lichess side bot tournaments? So I believe bot accounts can't play in tournaments like native Lichess tournaments, arenas, and Swisses. You could organize them yourself, obviously. Not you personally. Anyone could organize them and like keep the standings themselves. I don't know about letting them play in vanilla tournaments. Are hackers a problem you have to deal with and spend resources against? Every single big website has to deal with that. First of all, the website has to be set up, well to defend against. We get DDoS attacks all the time. These are distributed denial of service attacks where they try to take down the server by hitting it a million times. These attacks are not very effective or very dangerous in general. Cloudflare scoops all that up, throws it in the trash. Is there a plan to add precision, like chess.com, for example? I don't quite understand what you mean by precision. Do you mean like in the game report afterwards? Well, we do have precision stats. We just use a different metric. We use centi-pawn loss. What are the devs working on nowadays? We don't really say. Jack, hello Jack, how are you? As I mentioned earlier, we don't really announce upcoming features. When we announce a feature, you will be able, usually it's at the point that you're able to try it. What was the thought process and principles for the Lichess user interface? I think very generally, we have a philosophy of minimalism, as you can see. We do not like to add a lot of buttons or a lot of settings or a lot of features. We want the stuff that people do to be front and center, and the stuff that, you know, is very uncommon either isn't there at all or is off on the periphery. They have this rule of thumb for websites that I sort of believe in, that with every click you lose users. So everybody's had the experience of going to a website that's new that they haven't seen before. Oh, what's this? What do we got here? Yeah, what are they doing here? And you sort of click through and see how it works. And if you're having to click 4, 5, 6 times to look for a thing, most people are out. Most people are going to go watch Netflix, right? And so that's why the Lichess homepage has one-click play. You don't even have to make an account. You click the button on the time control you want to play, and you are playing, right? And if you have an account, it's the same thing. You're already logged in, and you go. The other thing that helps a lot with that is that Lichess is free, because if you lose users with every click, you really lose them when they have to take their credit card out. And that is not something that Lichess will ever demand of you. What accessibility features does Lichess have? Well, we have a full blind mode. And that is a blind mode not for... it is not the blind mode where you play without looking at the pieces. It is a blind mode for blind people, for the visually impaired, right? I'm not sure if I can... Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can pull it up to show it to you. I don't know if it's going to happen. No, I can't quite get it to come up. Where is it? All right, forget it. We did a YouTube video on it if you would like to see the whole feature walked through. But basically, if you have a screen reader that blind people use, which reads out websites to you, the first button the screen reader finds will turn on blind mode, and it makes the whole website text, right? Because a screen reader that blind people use that reads off a website can't really deal with a chessboard. It can't read off an image. So you need to set up the site to really work properly with the screen reader, and we have done that. Why does Lichess call Fisher Random by the false name Chess960? I don't know. What's wrong with Chess960? Bobby Fischer did not invent the idea of shuffling pieces. That idea goes back more than 100 years. At least, probably more. I'm not necessarily against the name Fisher Random, but nor am I against Chess960. And since we already have Chess960 there, it is less work to just leave it. Unless you have other arguments, which I would listen to. When did you start chess? Me? I started chess when I was 5 years old, which was a number of years ago that I hesitate to name. Lichess started, what, like 11 years ago? Can Lichess broadcast the live OTB World Chess Championship? Yes, we're planning to. Absolutely. We're not going to miss that one. How many features has Lichess copied from other websites? Do you care for originality? I mean, we just want to give people features that they want. Let's talk about copying features, because this this is a very tenuous idea. Let me think of an example. Some chance I'll put my foot in my mouth here, but I'll be brave. Okay, Puzzle Rush, right? So Puzzle Rush is the chess.com feature. It's time puzzles. And then after Puzzle Rush came out here, later on, a Lichess time puzzle feature called Puzzle Storm came out. Did we copy that from chess.com? Well, if we're going to talk about copying, timed puzzles existed before Puzzle Rush. I believe Chess24 had time puzzles. I sort of vaguely recall Chessmaster, maybe some other software like that had time puzzles. So who is copying from who here? I don't want to scandalize anyone, but lots of features are stuff we didn't come up with. We didn't come up with Swiss tournaments. We didn't come up with chess either as the game. We didn't come up with any of that. The main point I'm trying to make is that I don't really take any of this like copying talk very seriously, because the genesis of an idea can be very hard to localize. Is anything new coming up? No, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that will be has been before. Why does your Lichess bio say you're not Bobby Fischer's nephew? Well, I'm not. It's important that people know that. If I didn't put that, they would think I was. Did the pandemic help Lichess in increasing users and other things? Yes, our user base exploded at the beginning of the pandemic, and it exploded again because apparently there was some Netflix show or something. I don't know, just what I heard. When will we see Bughouse and Lichess? Probably not in the near future. What do you think about all the drama in the chess engine community? You will not be surprised to learn, am firmly on the side of Stockfish, and more precisely, I am on the side of respecting the GPL license, and more precisely, I am on the side of free software. Are there going to be a bigger variety of computers sometimes? Do you mean bot accounts? Because if you go to community players, there's a little tab over here that says online bots. And there are lots of bots here, lots of different bots that do different things. All the bots you could ever want for all the live long day. Go crazy. Man, that's a lot of bots. Oh boy. Oh boy, so many bots. Will Lichess allow brain-machine interfaces once they are workable? I think we probably need to know a little bit more on the specifics of these interfaces before we agree to anything. Maybe. How is Lichess preparing for the rise of quantum computing? It's all we talk about all day. For Puzzle Storm, you also said we will not see it in the near future, and look now. So for Bughouse, also we should expect the same. Listen, I how do I explain this? I don't necessarily, when I say that I don't think a feature is coming, that is my honest opinion. I'm not lying to you. I'm not a liar. I'm a good person, okay? I promise you I'm a good person. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't lie to you. It's just these things can change. I would have guessed that we would never have Swiss tournaments again on Lichess. Up until like a month before they were on Lichess, I would have guessed that we would never have Lichesses. And my reasoning for that opinion was excellent, right? I had not missed anything. Let me explain my reasoning. There were Swiss tournaments on Lichess before, years ago, right? The Swiss tournaments you see right now are version 2. Years before that, there were Swiss tournaments on Lichess, and nobody played in them. They were a total failure, and we took them off the website. Do you know how often we deprecate features on Lichess? Like never. There have been like 2 or 3 in the life of the whole website. Once stuff is on Lichess, it's almost always on Lichess forever, in perpetuity, right? And Swiss tournaments had failed. They had a record of failure. And nevertheless, they came back. So I had good reason to think that we weren't going to have Swiss tournaments. And then I was wrong anyway, because sometimes you can, have a very well-considered opinion that just happens to not be right. Why does Lichess promise that there will be no premium options forever? Why? Okay, maybe you all have seen the blog post. Let's talk about premium options. Let's talk about what Lichess is as an organization. Wow, I really have to scroll a lot through all these bots. Too many bots. All right, we released a blog post recently called "Why Lichess Will Always Be Free." Where is it? Why Lichess Will Always Be Free somewhere. Here we go. Why Lichess Will Always Be Free, which explains our philosophy and how we see things and why we do things. So why can I be so sure that we will never have premium features on Lichess? And I am very sure, I'm much more sure that we will never have premium features than I was about Swiss tournaments. Like, 100% sure, never. There will never be premium features on Lichess. And the simple reason is, why would we ever have that? What would be the advantage of that, right? If our goal is to make the website as best as it can be, how would having premium features make it better? You may say it would make you money. I'm sure it would. It wouldn't make the website better. And actually, it would make the website a little bit worse, because all of the people who don't pay, who don't get access to the premium features, they don't get to see all of the developers' hard work. They don't get to see all of the good stuff in the website. So it not only does it not make the site better, it makes the site worse. It's going backwards. What if we needed money for some reason? What if we were like broke and we had our hat out and we were... This does not seem especially likely to me. Even in that case, I would not want to have premium features. I would, people are going to think I'm being silly, but I 100% mean this. I would 100% recommend that I be fired before we added premium features. That would be fine with me. I think Thibaut would prefer to surrender his salary than to have premium features, because we don't want to do that. No, thank you. I suppose you could also make some argument that, like, okay, you charge for the premium features and that makes the website worse, but then you get money and then you use the money to make the website better. So you're making it worse with this hand and you're making it better with this hand, and you can somehow make progress. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I guess. Can we just have the good things without the bad things? It seems to be working okay for now. I would prefer not to try to, steal from Peter to pay Paul. Can we just have the good things and not have the bad things? I don't know. Are you going to do a live performance of how to pronounce Lichess? Yes. Come to the next Lichess meetup, and I will be performing how to pronounce Lichess live. Every Nojoke show is unique. It'll be different from the recording, I'm sure. And what else do we have? There are already premium features like the wings next to your handle. Yeah, you got us. Oh, we've been discovered as hypocrites. You do get wings on your profile if you donate. I don't really consider that a feature, but it's something. Everyone's very excited that I have been wrong about things in the past. I don't want to get you too excited, but I have been wrong about so many things. Not even just Lichess things, just things in the world, things that I should be an expert on. I have been so totally wrong so many times. I may have even been wrong more than I was right. Are Are you guys inspired by Karl Marx? Did he have a chess website? I wasn't aware of that. I'll have to check that out. People are talking about Prettier Lichess. Prettier Lichess is also on this extend page that I showed you before. Somebody link me Karl Marx's chess website in chat. I'd like to check it out. I didn't even know he was a developer. My friend is still asking about voice chat and chess study. I can't really troubleshoot that through a Twitch stream, my friend. I would recommend heading to the Discord where they can interact with you more directly. Man. I think I'm going to take like the answer to the keyboard question and just put it on like a graphic above my head. I'm seeing a lot of discussion of Karl Marx. Not so many questions. Oh, Groucho Marx. Well, this whole time I was thinking of Groucho Marx. Is there another one? I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. All right, last chance to get questions in, everybody. Last chance. Any more questions? Anything? Anything? Oh boy. Hey, that's not who you're watching. That's incorrect. Don't say that's who you're watching. The Lichess remix is made by Asios and myself. What do you like to do in your free time? Watch TV, read books, play with my daughter. Nothing too interesting. Nothing too interesting, really. Can we use our FQE ratings in registering? I live in Quebec. You can put any rating you like in your profile. What's my name? It's Nojoke. You see it right here. the political discussion is going quick. All right, I'm sorry to cut off the discussion, the very important discussion of seizing the means of production, but we'll have to continue that another day. I am going to raid a good friend of Lichess. Make sure that went through. Did it go through? Yeah, so everybody following the raid. I'm going to be taking off now. Thank you so much for watching. This was super fun. It's always super fun. I always learn a lot. I hope you guys learn a lot too. You know, it's useful not only for me to answer the questions, but just to see what people are talking about. To see what the opinions are of the common people. So